Right in the nick of time, are we?
I don't know, I checked like 2 minutes ago and you weren't in here yet, so... What was it?
We're live.
Oh, shit.
There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination. At the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your not muted host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, my trusty co-host, Chip McCartney.
You know, you're allegedly not muted.
Allegedly? Let's see here. Not muted in the Discord. Not muted on the OBS. Not muted on my microphone. Fuck you. I'm not muted. So.
And I'm your timely co-host tonight.
You are. You were actually before me. Well, I mean, I was here. I just wasn't in the show chat up until like a few minutes before. But you know, I was around. But you know, being muted is not my only boomer moment this evening. I had a story to tell a little later in the show. We'll see if anybody else filters in before I start this. I've got the notification out on Twitter. I'll add everyone in the Discord and let them know. But yeah,
story time in the church.
Yeah, every day I have to boomer up, like you know, just at least a little bit to keep my quota.
Right.
So today I had some friends in from out of town. First time I'd seen them in a little while, and you know I'm outside. You know, we're having a conversation. I set my iPad down on the hood of their vehicle. I get the bright idea.
Geez.
I get the bright idea. Let's go to the hardware store. I got something I should pick up. We could go together. It could be fun. And fun it was, Ayrton. Fun it was. We're going down the highway about 55 miles an hour. All of a sudden, something hits the windshield. Boom! Flips over the top of the car and rolls off. I'm sitting in the back seat like, what the fuck was that? Did a bottle just hit the windshield or something? Who the fuck threw that out of their car? Now, obviously, the driver and the passenger in the front seats knew immediately what had happened. See, what had happened was my dumbass left my iPad sitting on the hood of the vehicle, and you know the rubberized case kept it firmly gripped to the surface of the hood for probably a good 10 minutes. But about 10 minutes up the road, once we got up to about 55, that motherfucker slaps the windshield, bam, right over the top of the car. So we're flipping around. We're going to investigate the crime scene of my stupidity. And luckily, the angels were shining down on the church this evening because no bullshit. We got this thing, picked it up off the side of the road. It had fallen into like right off the curb. Okay. No other vehicle had hit it. It wasn't broken. It wasn't even off. Like, it didn't even turn off. It didn't, like, there was a little scuffing to the OtterBox that it was in. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, this show, non-sponsored, brought to you tonight by OtterBox. If you ever want to play iPad hockey, get an OtterBox.
You know, it's funny you tell that story. As I was leaving the grocery store, somebody had like their 6-pack of beer or soda or whatever, like sitting on the hood of their car as they were loading everything else in. And I was like, should I sit here for a minute and see if they notice it and start driving off with that still sitting there or not?
Now, here's the most embarrassing part of, well, two most embarrassing parts of the story. First most embarrassing part of the story. That
it happened?
Is we were on the way to the hardware store to find a small parts box. It's almost like a toolbox, but you keep screws and fasteners and stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were on the way to get one of those that is renowned for not flying open if it falls off the hood of your car when you start it because you forgot it was on there. Like, a friend of mine had told me that this particular box doesn't open if it flies off the hood of your car. So I said, I'll go get one of those because that seems like a worthy investment and a nice secure feature and a nice endorsement from someone. So the whole time we're going, I've left my fucking iPad on the hood of this goddamn car.
You should probably get several of those boxes and keep multiple. Like, don't just use them for small parts. Keep like one, turn it in your wallet. Keep like your driver's license, credit cards, or whatever in it.
Yeah, just put a straw system on one so that I can keep my coffee in it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so that was how my morning started out. Not my morning, my evening. But I'm sure I'm not going to live this down for a while. I expect my birthday card will come with a miniature Maxbox car with a small iPad affixed to the hood of it. But again, I keep them all on a giant key ring, just a key ring of indestructible containers, because I'm that tragic at life.
That makes me think they should make like they should make an OtterBox thing for like your phone and your iPads or whatever that have like real strong magnets in them. So when you set it on the hood of your car,
It just sticks.
It just sticks.
It'll never come off. Like, you just have to use your shit outside now. That's just your lot in life for being an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yep.
those giant rare earth magnets that will like crush your fingers if you get them in between it and like a steel plate. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refrigerator and speaker magnets are almost as bad.
Yeah, well,
I used to deconstruct things for the magnets when I was a kid. I was a weird fucking kid. I'm a weird fucking adult. But
hey, magnets are fun.
Magnets are cool.
We have,
but when you're like 8 years old and you're like, go ahead. You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if that's just the Discord in general. I mean, it says we're connected pretty well, so you might want to check your connection. But no,
it's normal for what it typically is. In my store, it's basically like an old, like industrial type building that's been split up from like the 70s or 80s. Right. So there's a big ass I-beam going down the center of it, and yeah, there's definitely a couple like strong magnets stuck up there that I've thrown up there that we found. And I just throw them up at the I-beam.
Right? Yeah, definitely. That's not juvenile at all.
No, not at all.
Science, bitch. I'm guessing that's what Novel Bro wanted out of me with the Jesse Pinkman reference. So I hope that's what you wanted. No, man, I used to, when I was a kid, I was like 9-10 years old, and I would find out that these electronics had magnets in them that were stronger than the magnets I had, and I would want to fuck with them and see what I could make happen. And, stick them together and see if I was strong enough to pull them apart. And, normal kid shit with magnets, see what I could stick between them.
Right.
See if I could get them to stick through a wooden board or some shit.
Right.
Use them to accentuate my Lego building skills. But
I mean, a buddy of mine, I think I told this story on the stream, inserted a small magnet underneath the skin in his hand.
For what again?
So it's part of that biohacking thing where you put like RFID chips or whatever, various other things underneath your skin.
Okay.
What the magnet does is it vibrates around electromagnetic fields, right? And if you insert it properly around like a nice dense cluster of nerves, the nerves pick up the vibration, and eventually your brain learns to turn that into essentially a sixth sense, and you can like feel like the shape and like strength of like electromagnetic fields, and you can use it as like a like a bar trick, like you can pick up bottle caps with it and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
But how you have to do it is with this giant ass needle, and it's in like a little capsule. It's like I forget the material, but anyways, I was helping him do it, and needles and like except tattoo needles, I don't know why those don't bother me, but like big ass needles and like any kind of like extreme medical type shit just like gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I'm sitting there helping him, and I have my finger on his hand as he's pushing this real sharp needle injector thing in, and I'm guiding it. And for whatever reason, it just hit me what we were actually doing, and my face just went pale white, and I just fell back into a chair and like passed out for a second. It was awful.
Nice.
Yeah.
That happened to me the first time I ever hit Gravity Bonk in Minecraft. But no, that was a weird one. But yeah, that was that was my lucky save of the day. I did not destroy my iPad by leaving it on the hood of a car somehow, some fucking how. All the variables, 55 miles an hour. It flew off the top of the car. It didn't land on a rock. It didn't get hit by another car. It didn't end up under the wheel well. I mean, so many things could have happened.
Well, there's not that many people driving around in Toadsuck, Arkansas, though, is there?
I mean, not that many, but there's enough. I mean, there were people behind us. It wasn't like bumper to bumper traffic or anything, but I mean, we were dodging cars trying to get it out of the fucking road.
Playing Boomer Frogger.
Basically. But anyway, shout out to those guys. Shout out to Otterbox. Yeah, fly around and just make
shout out to Blue.
Make sure, Matt Christie, to while you're playing Elite Dangerous, to not leave your iPad on the hood of your space shuttle. I'm not sure you would ever find it out in space.
That would be impressive, though. We should get Elon Musk on that one.
Well, I mean, let's get him to build a Canyonero first.
Isn't that basically what he just announced with that new Tesla truck?
Basically. Matt Christie, have a good one, buddy. Enjoy Elite Dangerous. Dan, what's going on, buddy? Novel Bro, how's it going? But, shout out to Otterbox. Shout out to Blue Coal. I'm going to need it is. I'm going to need an Otterbox for my already Otterboxed iPad now, because I'm sure as soon as I take it off, it's just going to crumble to pieces.
Probably.
Right. So I just double Otterbox it. Weeb, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Weeb?
You got to get your girlfriend to start watching the show now. That's the thing. That's how you prove she's real. She watches the show.
There you go. Because
You know.
I'm still not convinced.
That's how you prove it's not a waifu pillow. Which, I mean, no shame. No shame in the waifu pillow. But, anyway, I'm Breck. How's it going, buddy? But, yeah, let's just dive into the show. We're 20 minutes in, and we've talked about my failures enough for the evening, I think. As the Church of Failure, I think it's good that I lead with my failures, right?
Yeah.
So
it's thematical.
So as usual, I pulled some news articles. Ayrton has no fucking idea what's about to come. Maybe
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
Maybe you could kind of pick up a little something from the thumbnail, but I'm not sure if Willem Dafoe and Alan Moore in the thumbnail do anything for you.
I mean,
maybe it scares you a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'm afraid my face is about to be eaten off.
It is, but not by them.
Okay.
First off, let's go back in time. Let's do a little time travel. I got to get better at this, but I do want to do more transitions like this. Let's see here. Oh, it's okay.
Segues are hard.
No, I'm really good at them.
What we do here is go back.
You can't hear it, but I'm playing a sound clip.
Oh, of course you are. That would not be 70s porn again.
Wouldn't you like to know?
I mean, I could just press play on the stream.
Yeah, it'll take it 20 seconds. You'll never know. It's over But yeah, we're gonna go back, ladies and gentlemen, to a stream that we had a while back when we were talking about the Comic Code Authority, and
Oh wow, that's a
yeah,
while ago.
yeah, the Seduction of the Innocent by Frederick Wortham. He has found himself back in comic book news this week somehow. So we've got that to take a look at, and I wanted to share with you guys. November 21st from Bleeding Fool. Headline is Frederick Wortham's vile legacy continues today in today's modern comics. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Wortham imagined a much more puritanical comic industry where there was never the chance that the good guys would lose. Like, to say that his ideologies are still rampant in today's comic book world is it's a little disingenuous.
Nice. We are joined by Lady Weeb. Nice play, Captain.
Oh yeah, I see what you do. I see what you do. Let's see. Here's the real. Let's see if she sub to the channel. That's the real question. I have to acknowledge her presence. If she she subbed to the channel. Holy, well, I have to acknowledge her. I have to acknowledge her as a true as a true individual now. Anybody who sees Captain Weeb taking some shit, Lady Weeb is indeed real in my book. Even though it could very easily be Captain Weeb role-playing as a waifu pillow, I, for one, accept this reality.
I'll give it to him.
I see, Weeb. Just let the stream catch up. But yes, welcome to Lady Weeb to the Gospel of Comics. I hope you are entertained. If not, just you showing up gave us 2 minutes worth of content, so thank you for that. But yeah, Frederick Wortham, the guy that did Seduction of the Innocent. I think he turns over in his grave every time a woman is depicted sexually in comic books, and as Comics Twitter ever so gratuitously points out, that hasn't gone anywhere. So to say that Wortham's influence is still infecting comics, I think, is a little disingenuous. But let's just see what they have to say.
All right.
The Akron Beacon Journal wrote about the history of anti-comics witch hunt that ensued in the wake of people like Frederick Wortham in 1954, and the city's own role in which it had in what was to come at the Senate. In 1954 November, the comic books were public enemy number one in Akron. The impact of comic books on our children was the subject of a state conference at the Mayflower Hotel downtown. Keynote speaker was Judge Charles F. Murphy, a former New York magistrate and a specialist in juvenile delinquency, who led a national effort to regulate the content of comics. For those that don't remember, there was literally Senate congressional hearings that the bigwigs in Washington, D.C. decided to throw their hat into the mix, having never read a comic book in their life, and said, yeah, comics are bad, okay? What?
Yeah, don't budget.
You sound terrible. I don't know what your problem is, but your audio is just garbage tonight. It's been so good for so long.
God damn it.
Jump out of the Discord and jump back in.
Yeah, I'm going to try this. Is that any better?
Speak a complete sentence.
Is that any better?
Yes. I mean, that was the sentence I heard before, but I wanted you to go on a little bit of a soliloquy so I could be sure. But it sounds better.
Oh, I have nothing prepared.
Good. Excuse me, everyone. Yeah. And this Ohio city served as the leading center for lecturing. The county was in an uproar over so-called funny books, especially those dedicated to crime stories, horror tales, and salacious subjects, with juvenile delinquency on the rise across the nation. Some experts blamed comics for leading kids astray. How many times have we seen this in our lifetime?
Too many.
I mean, Marilyn Manson and Eminem were responsible for Columbine. Video games were responsible for gang violence. I mean, just nowadays it's movies and video games again. Um, I don't know. Maybe if maybe there's
You know, they,
maybe there's a certain secret society of people that operates in the shadows, and any form of media or any outlet that they can't control, they demonize. Maybe that's just a crazy theory.
well, yeah, I mean, you can trace that back into like rock and roll and stuff like that too. You know, but to be fair, they did find out if you take like a Led Zeppelin record and play it backwards, it sounds like shit. So,
Lady Weeb has professed that she would join the stream to prove her boyfriend's innocence. I'm not going to make her do that, but if anybody ever calls him out, I will let her join and prove Weeb's innocence. Anyway, back to the article. Werewolves, cannibals, zombies, vampires, and murderers. Oh my! Leered from the lurid cover of 10-cent books, they were easy targets. For months, PTA groups and women's clubs had prodded the Akron City Council to pass an ordinance to impose 6-month jail term and a $100 fine for anyone caught selling unfit comic books.
now, can I just point out, why is it always mothers? Go away. We
Well,
gave you the right to vote, and now you've just been annoying us for 90 years. Knock it off.
well, I mean, I'm not sure, but I'll ask the guys at my next Drunks Against Mad Mothers meeting.
Okay.
Councilman Howard Walker, a Ward 8 Republican who served as chairman of the Public Welfare and Safety Committee, balked at the effort. Who is qualified to say which books are good and which are bad? Walker asked. Now, see, even back in the 50s, Republicans were making a lot of sense. Isn't that something? A right-leaning politician tried to help prevent unfair censorship. And how did the industry thank him? By continuing to support the leftist politics. Irony is where you find it. You have an excerpt.
Irony's so thick you're going to have to microwave it before you can spread it on your toast.
Yeah. Arguably, horror thrillers were easy targets at the time, if only because, from what I can tell, heavy, overt sex and porn wasn't very noticeable in the early years of the 30s, 40s, and 50s, not even in movies. And even then, what is the acronym IIRC?
IIRC?
Yeah.
God,
What does it stand for? I used to know.
oh.
I don't use these stupid fucking internet abbreviations. IRC. If I recall correctly. Jesus Christ! Why would you abbreviate that?
What? Wait, they use an abbreviation in a goddamn article?
Yes, in a news article. This is Bleeding
What
Fool
is
too.
wrong?
Like I was really hoping for more Bleeding Fool. Like I still love you, but you're fucking up, fam.
What the hell?
If I recall correctly, there were some forms of censorship going on, as the U.S. film industry rarely used jarring violence and profanity up to the late 60s. In November of '54, Ohio Governor Frank Lausch sent a letter to Leo Molinaro, Executive Secretary of the Akron Adult Education Foundation, to commend the group for scheduling a state workshop on comic books. My belief is that the condition will get worse, Lausch said. Publishers for comic books, motion pictures, and other media in their competitive efforts do not react generally to self-imposed restraint, but usually keep creeping more and more toward publication of pictures appealing to morbidness, emotions, and passion. Don't have emotions. You can't have feelings. No, we don't agree with that. Jesus Christ. I'm not sure what this has to do with modern comics, though. I looked at the parents' game rating site for the games our son wanted for Christmas, and I realized a lot of parents have sticks up their asses over fantasy entertainment.
That's definitely true.
I mean, I don't disagree one little bit.
Those bored housewives need to get smaller butt plugs. Don't go for the big massive one that looks like a deformed watermelon. You know, get something.
Again, your audio is it's awful. Drop out of the Discord and jump back in.
Yeah, I'll reset Discord.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's just me, so we will continue through the article until he comes back. Since the turn of the century, they certainly have gone overboard to the point where they're not even suitable for adults, sane adults anyway. Why, even in the golden age, most comics weren't as overtly political as they are today. In the time of Axel Alonso, Ayrton?
Yes.
Okay. You sound better, but we'll see how it goes. At the time, Axel Alonso was Marvel's editor-in-chief. The only real restraint they made was in dealing with sexuality. It may not have improved much under C.B. Cebulski either. The article got a list of what the Comics Code initially decreed, which Murphy supported, that should always be paid attention to, as it can be very relevant in this modern era where leftists brought censorship back. Crime shall never be presented in a way such as to create sympathy for the criminal, to promote distrust of the forces of law and justice, or to inspire others with desire to imitate criminals. Policemen, judges, government officials, and respected institutions shall never be presented in such a way to create disrespect for established authority. If crime is depicted, it shall be as a sordid and unpleasant activity. Oh man, robbing this bank feels so bad. I'm so upset with myself for robbing this bank. Put the fucking money in the bag, bitch.
I'm going to need all this money to make myself feel better because I feel awful for robbing this bank.
In every instance, good shall triumph over evil and the criminal punished for his misdeeds. No comic magazine shall use the word horror or terror in its title. All scenes of horror, excessive bloodshed, gory and gruesome crimes, depravity, lust, sadism, and masochism shall not be permitted. Like 6 things on that list are my fetishes.
Only 6?
Shut up. All lurid, unsavory, gruesome illustrations shall be eliminated. Now, that word unsavory literally just leaves the door open. We think that's unsavory. Get the fuck rid of it. It's literally the picture of a left hand. Yeah, the left hand is bad. It makes people want to smoke pot.
Well, come on. Rob Liefeld finally drew some feet.
No, we can't have that. People want to have sex
can't
with those.
Do that. Which, that one is a fair argument. I'll give them that one.
The scenes dealing with or instruments associated with Walking Dead, torture, vampire, or vampirism, ghouls, cannibalisms, and werewolves are prohibited. Profanity, obscenity, smut, vulgarity, or words or symbols that might have acquired undesirable meanings are forbidden. A no okay hand sign in modern comics. Got it.
Yeah. And no fist bumps either.
Nudity in any form is prohibited, as is indecent or undue exposure, to the point that they made people erase cleavage lines.
So the women just had like one singular boob.
One giant boob. The one boob to rule them all.
Not saying I would complain, but...
Now we know what Ayrton's fetish is, people. All characters shall be depicted in dress reasonably acceptable to society. Females shall be drawn realistically without exaggeration on any physical qualities. Illicit sex relations are neither to be hinted at or portrayed. Respect for parents, the moral code, and for honorable behavior shall be fostered. So we see, here's the CAA rule again about only depicting females realistically, which is no more clearly defined than anything else. And I think I'm starting to see where this is coming together, because recently Comics Twitter has taken shots at several male creators saying that they don't have a right to represent women in their comics because they aren't women, and silly shit like that.
What? Get over yourselves.
They can't, Ayrton. They physically can't get over themselves. They are so fat and tremendous and miserable
True.
that they literally cannot traverse the bounds of space and time to clear themselves in a single bound like Superman could.
Apparently, no fist bumps won't go far in Edinburgh. So
No. Anyway, which is no more clearly defined than anything else, not exaggerating their physics, and is actually offensive to women in real life who have heaving breasts and such. Wortham and his ilk were surely doing early anti-sex feminists a favor when they pushed for that kind of insult to the intellect. In the past years, when Axel Alonso as Marvel's EIC, the difference that jarring violence remained otherwise the same while sex was horrifically censored, recalled the bad job initially done on Rogue of the X-Men in the series spotlighting her and Gambit a few years ago.
So now, when they say like depicting, women realistically and not exaggerating features, we've all seen chicks that have like ginormous tits.
We all asked her to the prom and she rejected us wholeheartedly.
Exactly. So, I mean, what's depicting a woman realistically? Not just women, but all people have different proportions of different parts of their body.
That's the that's the argument that you see a lot is that, and women will come out and stand for this. They will say, look, you're telling people that people of my body type don't exist. You know how hard it is to be, like, honestly, and I've talked about this before with in private, but women as a whole are some of the most hateful creatures on the planet to other women.
Oh yeah.
Like, women hate other women. If there is an attractive woman out there who looks somewhat similarly to what the quote unquote modern depiction of women is in comic books, they are some of the most hated creatures on the planet by other women.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, guys, we have a pretty wide range for the most part of what we find attractive. Like, just don't be morbidly obese.
Hey, don't kink shame. There are people, man.
There are. I'm generally, if you look decent, just decent. You don't have to even have to be like a runway model.
You can't look
decent, and we still want to see you naked.
No,
it doesn't matter.
If you smell like cats, the deal's off, man.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't care how good you look. If you smell like cats, I'm done. I'm out.
Well, I'm allergic to cats, so I wouldn't be able to. My eyes would get all like dunked in water. I wouldn't be able to see it anyway. So
a couple more statements like that, I'm revoking your Chad card. Ohio State professor Edgar Dale cautioned the audience that the comic book problem that actually was a problem of math medium environment surrounding every adult and child. We don't want Now, here's the problem with that. First off, you don't tell any parent how to raise their kid. Okay, that's just a no-no. If you birthed it out of your loins, then you get to decide how to raise it for better or for worse. Now, there are times out there where it's for the worse, and you might, need to have someone arrested for how inappropriately they're raising their child. But for the most part, as long as the kid's taken care of, as long as the kid's getting an education, as long as the kid's being fed and disciplined, and you don't get to decide how that happens. You don't tell them what they can and can't watch on TV. Their parents do. To come out as an authority and try and say, oh, I know what's best for all of your children, I'm surprised this guy didn't get the shit kicked out of him at these meetings. But
it's almost like
in Minecraft
need to just parent their kid.
Yeah, but
What a novel
Not
idea.
only is he trying to tell parents how to raise their kids, he's trying to tell grown ass people what they should and should not consume as content.
Yeah.
It seems fucking ridiculous to me that, in any form of time in history, that a grown person would look at a group of other grown people and say, I know what's best for all of you. You're too stupid to know.
Well, that's a problem that's dated back all the way to, well, Prohibition.
And how
Yeah.
well has it ever worked?
Exactly.
We don't want movies or
banning things is just fantastic.
We don't want movies or TV or comics which are merely harmless, he said. Absence of harm does not mean presence of good. We want comics to be truthful, amusing, whimsical, fanciful, and funny. Sometimes we want them to offer a vision of greatness. That is the gayest thing I have ever read on the internet. And I've read Ian Miles Chong's name on Twitter before.
Oh. You almost have to go, eat pussy after reading his name just to get the gay off of you.
But yeah, that is the worst fucking line I have ever read.
It's
Anyway,
ridiculous.
Something tells me you wouldn't hear a university professor making this case today if the faculty she works at is far left enough. Despite the best efforts of the comic publisher, juvenile delinquency didn't end. Over the decades, the problem was blamed on pinball machines, rock and roll, divorce, television shows, drugs, contraceptive, pornography, horror movies, role-playing games, rap music, video games, the internet, cell phones, and among other corrupting influences. Is it fun? Get rid of it. Everyone should be Amish. Electricity is the cause of our nation's downfall. Everyone go build a barn. You'll all be saved.
Yeah, not the systematic breakdown of the family structure. Or,
No. That divorce is in there.
Or anything like that.
Divorce is in there. Contraceptives are in there. Both of those contributed to the downfall of the family structure.
I wouldn't necessarily say contraceptives, but...
You don't think so?
No, because you can have sex when you're not married and not have to worry about getting pregnant.
No, you don't. You don't understand. You don't understand. That's contraceptives were part of the women's. I don't want to get into this and sound like a super fucking misogynist because I'm not. I'm all for women having equal rights. However, when you look at the 1950s household, it began to decentralize with the advent of contraceptives. Families didn't keep their children at home as long to protect them and to ensure that they didn't have premarital sex because contraceptives ensured that they weren't going to have premarital babies.
That's a fair point.
I mean, cause and effect, causality, effect. I mean, butterfly, all that shit. Pornography also pushed people to have, what's the word I'm looking for? God damn it! I can never remember the words I need. Unrealistic expectations of a sex life, therefore leading to a longing in a relationship for something you're never going to have. You're never going to walk into an elevator and find the woman of your dreams who immediately starts blowing you guys. It's never going to happen. I mean, if it does, it's cool, and you're one of you're the exception that makes the rule.
Has that not happened for everybody?
You're the exception that makes the rule, Ayrton. I mean, you're a little scared of needles.
It wasn't an elevator. It was a dingy car park. But
your womanly fear of needles and fainting and all of that led to you having a Chad-like experience. You're the exception that makes the rule. The rest of us, on the other hand, we ride the elevator thousands of times in our lives and don't get one BJ in it.
Well, but to go to that, I think it's worse with like internet pornography. It's like when we were kids, you would find like a Playboy,
Or
like
the
out in
VH
the woods or something.
or the VHS tape or whatever.
Yeah, or like the Sears lingerie catalog or something like that. And you would sit but with like the advent of the internet, you can just like skip next video over and over and over, and then it gets more degenerate and more fucked up, and then you have people like getting hooks stabbed through them and lit on fire while they're having sex in a pile of ketchup, and it just gets weirder and weirder.
We're almost through this article. We'll talk about your kink fetishes after this article. But let's get
all
through
right,
it.
fair enough.
Comic books of former Public Enemy #1 couldn't get arrested today if they tried. No, but they could be shunned at universities and other such establishments, even if they did meet the standards of the Moonbat now in charge there. There's only so many past geniuses, not at least being Stan Lee, who's being thrown under the bus when they're not being exploited by PC advocates to justify their twisted beliefs. Say, and what's this about juvenile delinquency? Maybe they're kidding, but I get the feeling the paper's alluding to the most recent propaganda denouncing people who play RPGs as sexist and racist without making any distinctions about anything. And they're not really objecting, are they? Worse, this article doesn't mention modern censorship trends among the left, whether it was the hostility to artists like J. Scott Campbell, negative attitudes towards right-wingers in comicdom like Chuck Dixon and Ethan Van Sciver, or how censorship advocates work their way into jobs within the industry they didn't even like and set about wrecking it. Which this isn't the only industry it's been done in. The Quartering did a very long expose about how it was done at Wizards of the Coast and spread from Magic the Gathering all the way to D&D. Hasbro even separated those two franchises from their gaming department so that the effects and loss of revenue wouldn't affect that quarterly outcome. If only the distant past can be spotlighted in the not so recent present, then no problems would have been solved at all. And who knows if the paper's writers really think censorship is a bad thing. First off, I'm going to critique the shit out of this article because he went a very long roundabout way of analyzing an article to push his own point. It's not a very objective look at this. You can tell that it comes at it from a right versus left standpoint. And honestly, I don't think that anyone, even with right-leaning views, can operate like that anymore and be taken seriously. Because if you look at someone who is absolutely 100% right-oriented, and they write an article like this where it attacks the left for just being the left, and accredits things that aren't necessarily leftist in nature to the left, you're going to lose a lot of people that you might have hooked in with the topic. However, if you approach it from an actual intellectual standpoint and you look at this and you go say, okay, well, for one thing, Wortham's comic era would be even worse than what we have now, if that's even believable. Right?
Yeah, that's hard to imagine, but yeah.
Well, I mean, think about it. You can say all day, every day that the big two have been infiltrated, even up to say the big four have been at least partially infiltrated. I mean, you got Valiant Comics with Heather Antos over there. You got Marvel and DC being completely cucked every other week. You've got IDW basically, just sticking its neck further and further into the sand, pretending it's not going to be bankrupt in 5 years. But you still have Zenescope operating every week as normal, no problem, never in the news, never being attacked. And they do shit like Grim Fairy Tales, where it's just like a half-naked little Red Riding Hood with ginormous tits and thigh highs on the cover every week. You got shit like Witchblade, which basically her costume is what happens when you shred a piece of metal about the size of my fist into enough little plates to cover all the no-no bits. And string it all together with fishing line. That's a Witchblade outfit. You know, there are plenty of gratuitous female drawings that just are fan favorites. I mean, there's a fucking comic book going out called Gold Diggers, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about like real life furries. Like, they're not people in animal suits, but they're real life like animal hybrids. Fucking. I'm not a fan of it, but it's out there. Somebody at the shop that I go to locally orders it every month. I love customers like I love customers like that. They come in and spend money every month because they have a pull list and we don't make it public.
Right. Hey, all the power to them.
Right.
But it is weird.
Oh, aggressively relaxing in the chat. How's it going? I recently drew Alan Moore smiling, watching the credits on The Watchmen and saying, "Not bad, looking forward to where they're going with it." And the writer of this article and all the people that discuss it suck and they don't matter. Comics have never stopped being awesome. To say otherwise makes you sound dumb. I agree. I don't think comics as a medium have ever stopped being awesome. I do think that they have faced some very tumultuous situations. And they haven't always recovered 100% from them. Like, the direct aftermath of the Comic Code Authority was not good for storytelling. It really stipended a lot of creativity. However, it made way for the comic revolution led by Stan Lee and Frank Miller and all of those like founding creators in the 70s.
Who basically
and 80s.
Just said, "Fuck you."
Oh yeah, basically they looked at it and said, "I just drank all the whiskey. Who's gonna fuck with me now, dog?" I mean, a lot of people look at Stan Lee and see a frail old man. I look at Stan Lee and see a World War II veteran that would probably fuck you up if you crossed him the wrong way. Like, he uses that frail old man shit as a decent guise. But
yeah, oh hell yeah. He probably has probably used to have a switchblade on him all the time, just in case.
Just in case. Yeah. So the next thing I've got to pull up is actually more for Novel Bro than anybody else.
Oh God, I'm scared.
You shouldn't be. It's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
He and I occasionally discuss Game of Thrones in the Discord, and in doing so, anytime I pick up on Game of Thrones, I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. And I got tempted to this week because Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, is in talks to become a comic book.
Huh.
So I figured we could talk about that. Now, anybody who keeps up with comic book news knows the only story that anybody was Avi Green, gas. I disavow Novel Bro.
Yes.
Comics are fine.
And-
It's the idiots we pay to write them, like King and Wade and Bendis. They're the problem. I agree 100%. You know, give me another dozen Jonathan Hickmans and get rid of all these fucking hacks, right?
Oh yes, please, right now. And Novel Bro, I thought you guys call it petrol over there.
No. It's the petrol in New Zealand and Australia because of Rama Rama.
Yeah.
But Landry Q. Walker talks adapting A Clash of Kings as a comic book. So after a bit of a break, Dynamite. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if it's more interesting than the show was.
Well, I mean, yeah, the show was fine for 5 seasons, and they had to fuck it all up. After taking a bit of a break, Dynamite Entertainment is adapting the back half of A Clash of Kings as a comic book with writer Landry Q. Walker. Wait a minute, the back half? That's not what the goddamn article said. Larry Q. Walker, hard at work adapting the second book in George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire to an entirely different type of medium. The Clash of Kings books also features artist Mel Ruby, colorist Ivan Nunez, and letterer Tom Napolitano. Walker sat down with the Comics Beat to discuss his approach. Of course, it helps that Walker's a huge fan of the books I've been a fan of the series since 2003, give or take, he said. Even then, reading as a reader versus reading to adapt the material is a very different experience. I read the book now in stages, and it's kind of like peeling an onion. I take a chapter, then break down the dialogue and the basic beats of action. Then I format it so that it's closer in structure to a comic strip. And I scan for logical page breaks, and I scan it again for logical panel breaks. And then I edit it down until it all fits into a limited space that we have visually. It's a process, and I usually work on 3 issues at once. There are some bits that are heart-rendingly left to the cutting room floor. We try hard to minimize this. And then there's also an element of taking note of when the art can tell what Martin told in the prose. A balance exists between remaining true to the source and respecting the demands of a visual medium, which I think is absolutely fair. Trying to, hey, shout out Major Spoilers. The Major Spoilers tweet on here. Those guys can be kind of milquetoast, but I love their product. And Matthew Peterson is my spirit animal after Rob Swanson. So check those guys out if you ever get bored and want to learn some shit about comics. Peterson is an aficionado on the Legion of Superheroes, and he will put my knowledge and lore to shame on that and Power Rangers if you're into that kind of thing.
All right.
So, just a quick plug there for those guys. They're great. They were part of the reason that I started doing the show. King, Wade, and Bendis are awesome. Half of this Game of Thrones adaptation will be artwork of food, like the books were descriptions of food. I think aggressively relaxing is trolling in the chat again, but we welcome it. I encourage you to continue doing your good work, sir. And I do hope I would love to get a comic book that's just the food of A Song of Fire and Ice. I want a full page splash of the bowl of honeyed locusts that got Strong Bellwise sick.
It's like a really awful Denny's menu.
Anyway, notably, Walker hasn't seen any episodes of Game of Thrones for years because he doesn't want the show to shape how he writes the comic, which is sticking very close to Martin's book. He does listen to the show's soundtrack while working, though, which is hard to begrudge him. It is. It's a good soundtrack.
I will give it that. The composer is very, very good.
It sounds like he's not even sure what's coming down to the line in Clash, although I think he's kidding. I hear there's a big battle coming, he said, alluding to the epic Battle of Blackwater. Some kind of siege. I'm both looking forward to and terrified of it. I'm a big fan of the medieval warfare, so much so that I wrote my own graphic novel for Image Comics called The Last Siege, which features a silent 28-page battle with all 2-page spreads. So yeah, it'll be fun. Holy shit, we got to review that.
I was just about to say, I want to check that out.
Yeah, we got to review that. Send me an Amazon link for that book or something so that we can get a copy of it to review.
Yeah, what was it called again?
The Last Siege. Image Comics. We'll actually take a look at it as much as we can on air, but I'll get us a couple copies of it and see if I can find a digital or something. So yeah, this will be fun. But then you think about all the logistics. You have so little space that chapter deserves a giant gatefolds at every turn. It'll be challenging, rewarding, but still. And then you got the Major Spoilers tweet. George R.R. Martin's book, A Song of Ice and Fire, returns. The new George R.R. Martin's A Clash of Kings by Dynamite Comics. So you got one of the Night's Watch with a... that's not John, I don't think. It might be John. But with a dragon glass dagger. As for who he likes to write, Walker has a soft spot for Tyrion Cersei dynamic. There's a lot of interesting balance between the hatred they have for each other combined with the sibling familiarity. He said it didn't matter that they're enemies. There's more to their relationship than what's on the surface. I mean, we all know that it won't go well, but at the stage where the elements of the brother-sister dynamic still, it's fun to consider how that affects body language. how they lower their guard and expression and mannerism once everyone else has left the room. Clash of Kings is available for pre-order and will be released in January 2020. So, everybody active in the chat right now. One, if you would like us to review something like this. Two, if you can't fucking stand Game of Thrones. We're definitely going to review the Last Siege novel, bro. So don't worry about voting on that one. But one, if you want to see us review some Game of Thrones comic books and make Ayrton actually know the story, and two, if you would hate it and never watch it.
Can I vote?
No.
Damn it.
Are you watching the stream right now?
Yeah, I just pulled it back up.
I guess you
I
can.
just
vote.
DM'd. Yeah, I just sent you the Amazon link for The Last Siege. It looks like it's on Comixology as well. It's
Okay,
an
Novel Bros.
8-part.
Novel Bros vote counts for 2, so he cancels yours out, and that's 1 vote for 1.
God damn it.
Oh, he voted an Eternal one, so that's just pretty much a guaranteed we're going to do it, mainly because you don't want to.
Son of a bitch.
Einbrecht cancels out his own vote. Seriously, we're dead even right now because he cancels out his own vote. He was like 1 and 2. Read them books, Chip. I mean, I'm not asking you to read the novels or listen to the audiobooks. I just want you to read some comic books. I've even given you a whole week off of having to read anything by finding show topics that were fairly interesting and fun to talk about.
That's fair. I'm concerned about more penises.
You want to know there's actually no penises. Dynamite won't put a penis in one of their comic books.
Oh, that's fair.
I mean, we read The Boys, and there wasn't an actual dick in those, was there?
True.
No, there was. There was. The Boys had some dick in it. Remember, Starlight had to suck somebody off.
Did it actually? I don't remember it actually showing.
I don't know that it did, but it was implied, and that's bad enough. But we actually need one more vote. Somebody in the... Okay. All right, Daniel says 1 because Chip says no. I'm glad I can count on him. You know he's going to take this out on you in real life, Daniel.
Better watch yourself, son.
I will. I'm not going to fire him. I'll put him under contract if he does anything to you in real life. I'll put him under contract, and then we'll just do nothing but revenge gay porn comics. Or review.
I'll just make him clean all the beans.
The beans.
He knows what that means. Yeah, he knows what that means.
That's terrible. That sounds awful.
So we have well, so our display cases for all of our glass pipes, right?
For tobacco use only.
There's a bunch. It's legal here, so.
Is it in Michigan? That's why you guys don't have any good water. Everybody's just smoking weed all the time.
Yeah, exactly. But the bottom of the display case, there's like a bunch of like dried black beans for the pipes to sit on, so they don't like roll around and stuff. And it's like a cool display. And I always, if somebody's annoying me, I tell them to go clean the beans.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at The Last Siege real quick. This seems interesting as fuck.
Yeah, doesn't it seem cool?
Well, I mean, I've talked about these before on the show, like with Gone and other essentially visual only comics or sound effect only comics.
Yeah, I like the medieval like trappings.
Of course you do. What do you have against the dinosaur with boxing gloves?
Well, nothing, but there's swords in this one.
Oh, god damn it. I hate when this happens. That's okay. I have to add a white background sometimes when I pull up links. because the CSS on certain websites are shitty and just expect the white background from Chrome to carry them through.
Yeah.
The Last Siege #1, $2 on Kindle and Comixology. Yeah, I'll go ahead and buy that. No, get your ass back up there. So, A Tale of Blood. I mean, I'm interested. Tale of Blood, Desperation, and Loss. New York Times bestselling author Landry Q. Walker. Now, how fucking pretentious do you have to be to have the Q as part of your written name? Why couldn't you just be Landry Walker?
And the fact that it's a Q. I don't know why, but a Q,
Well,
out of all the letters
that's
that you
because
could
it's
have
probably like
for a middle
Quincy
initial.
or asshole or something.
Right. Like
his
Q is just a very pretentious letter.
right. So, anyway, joins artist Justin Greenwood for an all-new ongoing series, The Last Siege. Spaghetti Western storytelling meets Game of Thrones atmosphere in this gripping medieval war story as a mysterious stranger arrives at a castle overrun with brutal soldiers bent on usurping the throne of the rightful heir, an 11-year-old girl. An action-packed, genre-twisting epic, The Last Siege begins. And is there a preview? Can we look at any of this? I just want to look at a page. Fuck.
I mean, you could go to Google Images and there's some interior
Yeah, but that's
images.
Oh wait, no, here we go. Look inside. There we go. Aha. Siege. Alright.
That looks cool.
Crows. Full page of just some terrible woods, I guess. A lone countryman. Small city and another mysterious character with a friar bowl cut. Oh, there is words. What the fuck? There are words. I don't understand. Thought it said there would be no words. Maybe one of the comics in that story has no text. That's what he thought.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Okay. Well,
like the actual battle, because it looks like the first few comics are like a build up.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah, we could. Anybody with
looks like
their
there's
name needs
8 of them.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll put that on the list. We'll definitely do a show. I don't even know what we're voting about, and I just agreed with Novel Bro and heard Chip say no. That's the best way to do it, honestly.
Except in a presidential election.
Nah, straight up. If Ayrton is against it, you should always do it, and even if that means voting for Hillary, I'll forgive it. Just as long as you're doing it because Ayrton doesn't want you to.
See, but I'm against everything, so
Exactly. So you're just as much against Trump as you are Hillary.
almost. I mean, he's way more entertaining. My voting is literally just on how entertained I'm going to be for the next 4 years.
Yeah. Well, we can.
I know. Great way to vote.
We can figure out how we're going to review The Last Siege, but I definitely want to put it on the list. Have we got a list going currently? We need to have a list going.
We had one. I don't know what happened to it.
Well, I'm gonna.
You want me to start a new one?
Yeah, start a new one.
All right.
And what I'll do is I'll after the show I'll put out a message to our patrons and let them know to email me at church.of.failure@gmail.com what their comic requests for the months are.
All right.
So we can get that list replenished. Got a couple of videos floating out next week, and that'll round out what we've got going so far as requests. I think we got some Usagi Yojimbo to review, a couple of other things, but we'll take a look at it. We still got Kanto to look at. Anyway, got some more news to look at.
Let's get back into the news.
Let's get right into the. Well, actually, it is the second half of the show. So, do you think it's time to check in with our good friend Jim and see what the weather's like right now?
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys heard, Mr. Medicare was banned off of Patreon this week. So,
Oh shit.
So there.
yeah. So there is that, and we have to be supportive of our good friend Jim. So maybe you should go buy a fucking hat or something. But he is also on New Project 2 now. But we do have a very special weather update this week from our good buddy Jim. So we definitely appreciate Jim taking the time out of his day to fulfill this.
Yeah, everybody needs to know what the weather is.
Right. So on we'll go ahead and just start it here. What are you doing? What are you doing? No. Transform. Reset. There we go. That's better. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go.
So there I was last night, playing the hottest new gaming service around, showing my coworkers from the station that the weatherman can indeed make it rain, when all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, there was a knocking at my door. I, of course, did what any reasonable person would do, and hid behind my couch for at least 20 minutes to make sure they went away. Then I got on my rascal scooter and drove to the door. What can I say? Those diabetes feet make it difficult to walk, but I do love a lollipop. Upon my arrival, I found a note waiting for me. Oh my God. Patreon remembered my birthday. I was giddy with excitement. What gift had they left me? It must be waiting for me on my Patreon page. Oh wait, I don't have a Patreon page. They removed it. Apparently, they don't like weathermen very much. It seems to be a common theme these days. Not sure exactly what it is, why there's so much anti-weatherite sentiment out there. We're only trying to forecast the future to keep you warm and dry, help you avoid those natural disasters that plague society. And yet, here I am once again. Susan, taking away my monetization, and now Sydney, taking away my Patreon. I'm going to be destitute. I'm going to be living in the streets under the weather I'm telling people to avoid. Talk about irony. Now, when faced with a serious situation like this, you should always take the adult approach, which I did when I emailed back Patreon to support. Hi, Sydney. Got your email. Read this part in the future. If you ever want to fund a new project on Patreon that is within the site's guidelines, feel free to contact my team. I do. You see, I have a passion for the weather. It's been something inside me ever since I was a young child. When I was only 5 years old, my father had to drag me into the house because I was out in the front lawn worshiping a tornado. Dads just don't understand that strong winds are God sneezing. But I do, Sydney. I know.
I'm pausing at 2:06. Did you know that strong winds were God sneezing, Ayrton?
You know, I always had a suspicion, but it's good to get the confirmation from Jim.
I mean, he is our weatherman overlord.
Yes.
We need to make sure that we understand that tornadoes are actually God incarnate,
Well, of course.
and that the strong winds are God sneezing.
I mean, what else would they be? Come on.
So
Makes sense.
Let's go back to Jim at 2:06.
What God wants. He tells me, whispers it to me at night. Jim, God says, tell the world about my wonderful weather. How can I deny God, Sydney? I'm just a man that loves God's weather. So that brings me to my project idea. I want to do a forecast. I want to share my love of the weather and God's special message with the world. Let's do this, Sydney. me and you and God. Look forward to hearing back from you on how to start this wonderful holy journey. Sincerely, Jim, God's prophet. Now, I suspect that Sydney was gripped by the Holy Spirit because I haven't heard back from her yet. And so, once again, your humble weatherman finds himself in a predicament, cast out into the gutters, spit upon, pissed upon by women with the names starting with S. Not sure why cat ladies and wine-ons have it out for me, but they do. But I'll tell you what, Susan, Sydney, you're not going to stop the weather. And so I've made some lovely alternatives if you want to continue to support. If you were somebody that supported on Patreon, you've got two, count them, two potential choices. The first one coming way of Dick Masterson, the New Project 2 account, Mr. Medicare over there. If you want to donate, feel free to. It's set up essentially like Patreon was. And the other is Subscribestar. Both these pages are now up and operational. Links in the description. Any support is appreciated. I will make this promise to you. I will continue to do my forecast. You deserve to know what weather is awaiting you. The forecast will continue. Now, I suppose this...
We're paused at 3:51. Can we just take a moment to thank our good friend Jim for not letting these natural disasters overtake our society? We live in a society, God damn it. We cannot have a society without weathermen.
Oh, of course not. And Jim is the best weatherman. He's the greatest.
He's tremendous, absolutely huge.
People come up to him all the time, say like, Jim, how are you such a great weatherman? And he says, it just happens.
Only by the sheer smooth flavor of Camel cigarettes is he able to be a fantastic weatherman.
Of course. Because 9 out of 10 doctors prefer Camel as their cigarette.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Anyway.
And I do want to know, though, Novel Bro, what exactly is a Scottish noise?
Generally anything that comes out of his mouth, I think. But 40 seconds left at 3:51. Hit play right now.
This is the point of the video where I'm supposed to get really angry, but I'm pretty copacetic. Like I said, I got my Stadia. And there's nothing that's more relaxing than playing a fighting game on Stadia. Because at 3 frames per second, it's nice and slow. Puts you into a very mellow mood. I've been playing just one match of Samurai Showdown. I'm sorry, the Stadia version, Samurai Slowdown, for the last 8.5 hours. I think somebody threw a Hadouken at me. I don't know how they did it in the game. Maybe they're modding it and cheating it. I'll probably have another hour to study how they've hacked this game because that's the amount of time it's going to take for the Hadouken to hit my character.
So that was Jim with the weather.
Which we always appreciate.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jim. I hope your Hadouken lands after you figure out how they hack the game. But definitely thank you for bringing the weather. We definitely look forward to that update next weekend on the next weather update. But also that little dig at Stadia at the end was just absolutely beautiful.
Now, what Stadia? That's like Netflix, but for video games. Is that right?
Google's version of Netflix for video games, so it's that much more awful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like, imagine your microphone always being on through your controller, so Google knows when you fuck now.
Uh-oh. Watch out.
Yeah, you just look at, you look to your Google records and you find out however many times you said, do you want some fucking real life now?
I mean, probably more times than is normal.
Well, you know what's not normal?
I mean, me in general?
Well, Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe isn't normal at all, right?
That's true.
So,
and, man, I really want to make a joke about speaking Welsh, but nobody except Novel Bro is going to get it. So
I mean, make the joke. Novel Bro's a valued.
All right. So I can speak a little bit of Welsh. So just hold on, give me a sec. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
God, I fucking
That's
hate
it.
you so much. I don't know why I keep letting you on the show. Like, I should just let you go on strike like you really want. But I think in the grand scheme of things, keeping you on.
Have you
is-
ever heard somebody speak Welsh
Yes.
or try to read it?
Yes.
I mean, that's basically what it sounds like.
Look, I knew a dude that had a click in his name. It's written with an exclamation point.
I would just be like, bro, I'm calling you Jeff.
You know, the last time I heard that kind of reference, it was in a movie called Roots, and I don't think that went over too well. Kunta Kinte didn't take that shit too lightly, alright?
Man, I'm gonna wake up with a shiv in my back.
Oh. Wait, what's in the... Oh, shit, no. No, Rambo... not Rambod. I think... Nova, bro, get your ass in here. Where you at, buddy? Let's see if I can drag your ass in this way. Like that.
You just force him in.
You're gonna be a Scottish Rambot. Like you're gonna bring all the views to the channel. Our connection literally just went to shit as soon as I said the word Rambot. They're on to us, boys. Where's he at?
That's on the list of banned words.
I love Israel and the Jews. But no, I've always just assumed that. Hold on, he's on the way.
And come on, our show is chaos.
Well, it is, and I think we need Scottish Rambot on the show.
Right. I hear bagpipes off in the distance.
Oh,
I think he's getting
no.
close.
Oh shit! There's a killering in the wind somewhere.
I get fucking Scottish noises, I'll fucking kill you!
Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Novel Bro.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from the whiskey tonight though, because I'm in work in about maybe near enough.
Well, I mean, isn't that all the
Fair
reason
enough.
to get into the whiskey, though?
Maybe when I get back.
Okay. Well, we have an
So-
art. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, first, I want to hear some quote Scottish noises first before we get into the article.
Yes, I do need some Scottish noises.
Yeah, you fucking slag! Fucking look at me! Look at you, fucking necky!
I'm gonna hit you with my shillelagh.
Have you ever seen a tin of beans fly across the park and bounce off somebody's head?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Roddy Piper is about to jump
Oh,
two
yeah.
of you.
We once had a tradition in the 15th century. It was once known as flighting. It was nothing great. It wasn't like the big debate thing at the time. It was just like fully grown men, poets, scholars, and everything else like that, just getting drunk and ripping the absolute piss out of each other. It was a wonderful time. I wish I'd been alive then, because apparently these dudes made a good bit of money just getting drunk and then hurling insults at each other for a few hours.
They call that battle
I
rapping.
mean, isn't that
these
basically
days,
what live
Novel Bro.
streaming is?
No, they call that battle rapping, Novel Bro.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's what they call it now, anyway. They laugh at the roast.
I cut a little bit of a promo. I don't know if you heard it last night. Ayrton tried to cut a promo and failed miserably at it, but I think I did pretty well before he went.
Yeah, well,
in the style of Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have the bigger beard
It's tough
of the
to get
two of
that
us.
voice
So
like, 'cause you have to.
you have to smoke
you
like
have to
I don't know.
sort of drop it. Like a
No, you have to wake up as Macho Man Randy Savage. Like that's the thing. You have to wake up at 120%. Most of us wake up at like 40%, and then we have some coffee and raise it up to 50. We smoke our cigarette, we get it up to like 65. You know, we squeeze one out, it's like 72.
I pity his wife in the morning. If he wakes up with a stiffy, by God, there's going to be nothing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm the lawnmower. Oh, yeah.
Do an American accent, Daniel says. You're apparently a monkey for the chat now, so.
Yes. However, I still need to tone it down from time to time so you all can understand.
So, what's the Novel Bro American accent sound like?
All depends on what region you want me to cover, because I can sound like anybody, really. I can sound like the Valley Dude, man.
Holy shit!
I
Flambéed
understood the
Novel
words
Bro.
that came out of your mouth.
Yeah, Flambéed Novel Bro.
To Boston.
That's a fucking tough one. But
No,
need to
you
sort
have to
of
start
reference,
to start the accent off. Just go from car keys to khakis. Car keys, khakis. Where the fuck are my khakis? I gotta get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Drop your fucking ass.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to act like you're impatient and pissed off at everybody.
Yeah, fucking queer.
Pretty good. Pretty good. All
I
right.
go park the car in the yard next to the garage.
The cat. So, while I got you on here, Novel Bro, let's jump into the next point of interest. And get onto the thumbnail topics. Willem Dafoe. Today's comic book films are too long, too noisy, and overshot.
Because of course.
Well, kind of. I want to actually say okay boomer to that, but maybe after watching the whole Endgame debacle, maybe he has a point, but maybe he doesn't. I just don't know. He's too much of an actor to take seriously. If he had like a nuanced sort of take on it, I think I would take him seriously. But
Well, let's see what exactly. Let's see how much justice the IndieWire does in quoting it. Dafoe has had success in the comic book genre with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and James Wan's Aquaman. Willem Dafoe refused to open up during an interview with IndieWire in May. Refused to open up. He didn't want to talk to the media because you guys fucking suck. About
not wrong.
About his experience working on Aquaman, IndieWire's Eric Crone worked that Dafoe's eyes curled into slits and darkened when asked about the superhero film. But he got a bit more honest in the topic in the recent 92Y interview. What the fuck is a 92Y? What the fuck is this goddamn name? It's like Entertainment 720. What the fuck do you guys do?
Come up with better names, goddammit.
Well,
Who funds these people?
I think we all know who funds these people.
The Clinton Foundation.
Rand/Novel Bro. I'm gonna change your fucking name in the Discord to Scottish Rand.
You might as well put it down as Randbot 1690.
Randbot 1984.
Yeah, I'm the earlier obsolete model. I think
No-
I'm a bit older than
No,
Randall
we're
as well,
talking about
but
George
that kind of-
Orwell's 1984. Come on, you're a writer. You have to have read
even
that.
better, even better, even better.
Okay.
I mean, I would think Rambot 1945, but
I would think Rambot 1488, but I think that one's already taken. Defoe is an especially recognizable face in Hollywood after starring as the Green Goblin in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Yes, Willem Dafoe was absolutely nobody before that role. Boondock Saints never fucking happened, right?
Well, let's put it this way: he got upstaged by "It's pizza time."
I mean, but as far as comic book villains go, he is probably the best one. I mean,
no, Josh
Yeah,
Brolin.
transformation
Josh
was
Brolin's
Spider.
Josh Brolin Spider-Man, or Josh Brolin Spider-Man. Josh Brolin's Thanos, hands down, best comic book villain in a movie ever.
I don't know. He was just
Well,
he was so over the top and ridiculous.
But that's exactly how he is in the books.
I don't even know who you are.
But no, Thanos is very theatrical and over the top. Like, literally, Josh Brolin toned it down.
No, I was talking about Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin was so
Oh,
over the top and goofy. It's just wonderful.
he was, but you got to understand, my Norman Osborn growing up was Spider-Man the Animated Series, and he was much more a reserved person until he
That's
became the Green Goblin. Like, this Norman Osborn was always eccentric, like Willem Dafoe tends to be.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry.
I mean, I do wish we would have got the Thanos cop in Endgame.
Yeah. But Defoe is blah, blah, blah. But the actor says making the film was more similar to indies than it has become the norm of giant comic book productions. Spider-Man was great fun because Sam Raimi made it like it was a little independent film. And also that was before a lot of technology was in place and the comic book movies were fairly new. So it was exciting. There are people pushing for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, by the way. There was nothing but the numbers, but the role in the expert, now it's become the industry outgrew itself. Blah, blah, blah. By the time Defoe was starring in Aquaman, the business of filming comic book movies had changed largely and for the worse. You have fun in some of the things that you get to do because there's lots of hardware and there's lots of crazy crane shots and these kind of things. That's fun. But stuff is overshot, the actor says. They spend a lot of money on big set pieces because that's what delivers the action, and I find them to be too long and too noisy. But let's not get into this. I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, but no, seriously, folks. Look, those movies, these aren't the movies I run to. Defoe continued by suggesting his larger issue with comic book movies is that they are content with staying at home, content with staying the same. Financial success of superhero film makes it rare that one shakes things up creatively, and I completely, wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. They realized that the route they were going with movies like Thor: The Dark World, Captain America, or not Captain America, Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, even Winter Soldier to a little bit. They realized that they were just too long, too drawn out, and they weren't what the audience was attempting to pay attention to. And they shifted focus, and then you get shit like Thor Ragnarok that had enough of the funny and enough of the punchy to draw people back into the theater. So they made literally a era of movies that spread for 21 films. That's unprecedented.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely impressive. And I'll just say, to this day, Winter Soldier is still my favorite out of all the Marvel movies.
I don't think Winter Soldier is bad. I think there's just a lot of gay moments in it.
It reminds me of the old like spy movies from like the 70s.
Yeah, it's so weird, and it's just so like it's outside the realm of what they had done with the first Avenger movie of Captain America. Like it just felt off-brand.
Yeah,
Like
I don't know.
it
I
should have
like
been.
the political spy thriller bit
I
of it.
I honestly would have named it something like Shield or something like that, and not made it the Captain America movie because that would have done better for the marketing and branding. Novel Bro, you can chime in
That's
here
fair.
anytime you want to and just call us both idiots and losers.
Well, we were on the topic of Captain America there, and I was just thinking about the golden moment that brought us like to Hugo Weaving and the Red Skull. If it wasn't for Marvel, we would never have gotten that match.
No, and Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull was absolutely fantastic. Like
Yeah.
I've looked in on some of the roles that he's taken part in, and he is kind of like the bad guy version. And even though Gary Oldman has played a couple of bad guys in his day, Hugo Weaving is like the bad guy version of Gary Oldman.
Thereabout.
Yeah.
Apart from when you're talking, when you're talking his role as Elrond, that's probably the only good guy role that he's
Right.
retained.
Yeah.
Kind of like the bad guy role from The Fifth Element that Gary Oldman did.
I mean, everyone. Wrong film.
But anyway, Defoe continued by suggesting his larger issue with comic book movies is they are contempt, blah blah blah. What I worry about is these big movies. They need something to feed them. Defoe said they need a surge. They need people pushing the boundaries so that they can go forward because they're not in the business of going forward really. They're in the business of business, and if you make beautiful things because they have a lot of resources. The Aquaman sequel already has a December 16th, 2022 theatrical release set for Warner Brothers. Defoe is likely to return as the mentor figure of Volko. And I'm not gonna play this trailer here at the bottom. We're not gonna do that. But that's Defoe chiming in on superhero movies. What kind of experience do you have, Novel Bro, with the superhero genre as far as movies go?
As far as movies go, it goes back quite far. I was born in 1989. I'm not going to self-dox myself any further, but from that generation, like superhero movies.
His name is Ayrton McCartney.
I'm just the evil Scottish.
Just Google Scottish Ayrton Randbot McCartney.
I feel like that Google search will turn up some interesting results.
Yeah, I'm quite intrigued as to see what sort of results would be.
Make sure your Pornhub accounts are up to date, boys.
You guys already know I'm on this Google search.
I do. Anyway, go ahead, Novel Bro. I'm just fucking around.
But yeah, my superhero movie experiences did start quite early on, from when they were actually originally starting. But for me, it was the cartoons. For me, it was like the X-Men cartoons, the Iron Man cartoons, that particular part of the Marvel universe, that iteration, so to speak. That's how I got to know the great characters of like Rogue.
Late 80s, early 90s with like Batman, the animated series, X-Men, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that Saturday morning cartoon shit. Did you mix and
that era, yeah.
Did you mix and match with a little bit of Beetleborgs and Power Rangers every now and again, or were you strictly a cartoon
guy? For me, it was strictly cartoons because it went from like your Marvel stuff to then more manga, anime oriented stuff. However, I did not get down with the Pokemon shit when it originally came about. I was more of a Dragon Ball Z kid,
Yeah,
but,
well, we were in that age group. You're only a little bit younger than me. You and Ayrton are closer to the same age than Ayrton and I, but.
Yeah,
but yeah, Dragon Ball Z was my my teenage indulgence after school. But No, I'm talking about like the modern MCU, DCEU era. Like, how much have you seen or cared about any of that?
Basically, from the first Iron Man movie in that sort of regard of the modern MCU as we know it, just from the moment I got introduced to, the Robert Downey Jr. iteration of Tony Stark, that was me. I was sold from that point in. And then came the first Thor. I was a little bit not too sold on the first one, but then the more Thor that came out, the more I started to understand Chris Hemsworth faithful adaptation of him, because I think if any actors could pull off a character like Thor perfectly, it had to be Chris Hemsworth.
I mean, I thought that Chris Hemsworth was actually not going to do well, and Thor: The Dark World almost cemented that for me. But
Yeah.
by the time Ragnarok came around, I realized that it was Natalie Portman fucking Thor movies up.
No surprises there.
Go ahead, Aaron. You were talking.
Yeah, I think I might be a little bit in the minority in the fact that I don't think Dark World was like amazing or really good, but I don't really hate it. Like, I didn't think it was like as terrible as everybody says it is. There's definitely parts of it that are really bad, but there's also some parts that are kind of fun, like when him and I'm blanking on the elf guy's name, are like fighting and they're like flipping through the portals like all over London and stuff. Like that kind of stuff. I don't know. I like that stuff.
That part was okay, but the whole Aether and the shoehorned explanation of all that shit, like the whole Jane Foster and the hurried introduction where you're just supposed to accept that dark elves like went into hiding, and Odin was just like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna worry about those guys still existing. That's not something I have to deal with.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense in terms of story narrative and continuity and stuff. It would appear retroactive, just for Odin, the great Odin, to just let that slide. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
See, when you look into the mythology, Odin's a hell of a lot slyer than that.
Oh yeah.
And that's what drew me into watching Thor to begin with, because I'm a bit of a Norse mythology fanboy, as anybody else would be.
Well, I mean, I think everybody in this particular chat is a Norse mythology fanboy. I owned both copies of my local library's Thunder of the Gods when they tried to sell them off because they never got checked out. I was like, that's because I've had them checked out for the last 8 years, bitches. But now you put them on sale, so I'm gonna buy them for $5 instead of the $300 you were trying to charge me. Ha ha! Also, Ayrton, check your name in the Discord.
Uh-oh. And you know that Google search brings up 3 videos relating to Paul McCartney, Wikipedia about the McCartney surname, Wikipedia about the song by Paul called Mull of Kintry, and then 2 articles.
Okay.
The Mull of Kintyre.
And that's Kintyre. Oh, okay. And that's it.
Well,
there's not even a page 2.
I think we have time for 1 or 2 more articles. You guys want to see what Alan Moore thinks about contemporary superhero films?
I would love to see what Alan Moore thinks.
All right. Well, here we have.
Go grab your crucifix now, little bro.
Here we have from the International Business Times on 11/19. Alan Moore claims contemporary superhero films aren't impactful for adult audiences. Anybody want to weigh in before I dig into this?
Well, I think it's probably better that you proceed just to see how far this rabbit hole goes with this.
Yeah. My initial reaction is I think he's wrong. I also don't necessarily want to say that because I don't want to wake up with a prehensile tail.
Well,
So
let's see what he says. As HBO's hit series Watchmen, I'm gonna do. Let me just be completely clear here, folks. I'm going to do a complete review one day of the Watchmen's viewing numbers from episode 1 to episode 12 once the series is over. We're going to talk about how much of a quote unquote hit this series ends up being.
Oh yeah.
Takes flight in both reception and viewership. Many fans of the series might be wondering, what is Alan Moore doing now? The original creator of the Watchmen comic book has been busy giving his impressions on the impact of contemporary superhero movies. First revealed in a recently unveiled 2017 interview in Brazil via the BBC. Hold on. I have something every time the BBC is brought up. I'm inclined to bring this up. Let's see here. What have I got? I think I have this.
Everybody wants the
Oh, there's
BBC.
got to be a BBC in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, I just played it. I just don't have voice meter set up so you guys can hear it right now. I will by the next drunk stream though.
It's alright, I can always listen back to it if I give it a listen over again.
I just want to point out, let's see, as of right now on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score, because nobody cares about critic ratings,
Right.
for Watchmen is 44% versus The Mandalorian, which is 95%.
I was going to say 97.
Score. So, yeah, it's a hit TV series.
Moore echoes Martin Scorsese's recent comment on Marvel movies, specifically in regards to how adults experience them. The comic book icon believes superhero films of today that are ultimately tarnishing and used negatively by older audiences. In his words, I think the impact of superhero movies on the popular culture is both tremendously embarrassing and not a little worrying. Adding even more broadly to his ideas, Moore finds the older individuals who take enjoyment in viewing comic book movies can't seem to leave their relatively reassuring childhoods in the past. Well, fuck no, we can't. Have you seen what bullshit our fucking existences are as adults, you bastard? We don't all have fucking bathtubs full of opium and money to lay into when we're typing out our next screenplay that's going to make 25 cents. Fuck you. Sorry.
Well said. Well said. If I'd had those, all of that opium and everything else like that, I guarantee my book would have been finished all fucking ready. I'd probably be alive.
Right. You know, you would just be smoking opium and drinking absinthe until your liver shut down and your fucking corneas rotted out of your head. But you would finish that goddamn book in like 4 days, basically on cocaine and absinthe.
Yeah, coming on to guest of the next, you're like, hey boys, I'm a bit fucked since we last talked.
Gentlemen, I wrote 66 million words in 4 hours. How awesome is that bullshit? Here, read it. It's the best shit you're ever gonna read, and it actually is.
Yeah, nobody should give you millions of dollars.
God, I wish I could be Paul Verhoeven, in which case I could just do it all on coke.
No, they should give him millions of dollars, but he should definitely put it in a trust account under the Church of Failure.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Well, I could always sponsor y'all.
I mean, as long as you don't mind the ADL and the SPLC being up your ass, which you're Scottish Randbot, they're already gonna be.
Well, I could do to the ADL what the Picts did to the Romans, you know, like Romans run in for an attack. Like, nah, we're just going to go up and stand up on top of this hill here. You're going to start climbing that, then we're just going to go walking down the other side of it. You're going to need to chase us all around Scotland until you give up.
Well,
Can't catch
you mean you weren't
ADL,
just...
the boy knows. Got
You mean
him
you wouldn't
always
just strap on your kilt and just run at them, like just bare balling it? Testicles just slapping back and
I'm
forth
actually-
between your thighs.
I'm actually offended that you don't just assume that's how Novel Bro is always attired.
Well, my balls do like to swing.
Well, and
getting back to the
and with kilts, you don't have
Yes.
the, you know, the BSTL.
yes,
the balls
Aaron,
stuck to legs.
Just keep talking about testicles on the Gospel of Comics. That's
That
fantastic.
was it. That's I just had that last comment.
All right.
Last
I would have
observation.
segued onto- yeah, I would have segued from there on to how many kilts I've got, but maybe not so much on the balls. You know, to be happy that they swing around is enough, you know.
So, guys, did you know that Moore even blames creators behind the masked vigilantes as literal perpetrators on the supposed issue, noting diversity as the main concern, despite the fact that Marvel plans on introducing its first Asian and deaf superhero in the coming years? Motherfucker, Hawkeye was deaf, like, literally not 10 years ago. Hawkeye
Right.
was blind. Like, stop trying to virtue signal. He doesn't have to be Asian and deaf. He just has to be Asian and look like everybody else. In fact, make a play on that. Make him a shapeshifter so that he literally can look like everybody else.
There you go. He could be a blind.
Best Asian superhero to screen. Holy fucking shit! How could you get an actor to act that? Oh,
Look, Jackie Chan hasn't been in anything in like 5 years. He's hurting for work, okay?
Yeah, it probably suits the deaf bill as well. The amount of rattles to the side of the head he's taken during the stunts. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
no
I can't
shit.
hit you. My head is still.
Anyway, Moore deems these heroes to still be very much white supremacist dreams of the master race. Jesus Christ, Alan Moore, don't hold back. Tell us how you really feel, sir. You feel like Stan Lee was just in the Marvel EIC room just being like, Sig Heil, Excelsior! In a separate Moore interview divulged back in 2005, the comic writer discussed his opinions as to Watchmen as a whole, considering it first and foremost a comic and nothing more. In discussing David Hayter's screenplay for 2008's Watchmen, Moore says, "My book is a comic book, not a movie, not a novel, a comic book." The HBO TV series has invited its own round of Watchmen controversy, for which star Regina King has had much to say on the subject. Of course she has, because actors can't just act; they have to virtue signal on social media
Yeah.
and toe the company line when it comes to the publisher, right?
Yeah. And have either of you ever cared what an actor thinks about anything?
I've never read what an actor said or thinks about anything except with Willem Dafoe in that last article.
Right.
I believe the only exceptions to that rule are probably dead now.
Well, here's the thing. Like, if I read what an article says or thinks about something, it doesn't influence what I think about it. I stand by my statement. I think The Watchmen has gotten progressively better over 5 episodes. However, I don't forgive it for being tremendously awful in the first episode, nor do I think the boomerang effect is going to escape it, and it's not going to end awfully as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, the HBO series is invited to some blah blah blah. Mirroring that of the original work, the television show invites political interpretations and uses them to bolster its own message. Well, that's your first fucking problem. Moore's own political views, those being anarchism, speaks volumes on his interpretation of modern pop culture. But to him, that doesn't mean no leadership at all. As he puts it in a aforementioned Brazilian interview, for me, anarchy suggests that it becomes fully realized as human beings, and we must each make our own individual peace with the universe. Motherfucker, just get out of the bathtub and stop shooting heroin, and maybe you can form a cohesive thought. You're not actually Gandalf, dog.
Or he could stay in that bath and let me bring a little toaster to the party.
In Minecraft.
In Minecraft. Nalva Bro, no.
Or we could switch that up to, an AM, FM radio and,
Maybe just play him a little tune.
Maybe,
Maybe get some show tunes going on the radio while he enjoys a nice hot bath.
bring on the White Rabbit.
But definitely not throwing any of these things in the bathtub because that would be violent.
Of course
and
not.
against YouTube terms of service. We do all of these fictional things in Minecraft.
And besides, he probably has some like magical protection spell on him anyway. Just
Of course.
in case of that.
And there's always BitChute.
I'd like to thank Novel Bro for destroying our YouTube career. It was good while it lasted. I want to thank.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm just fucking around, buddy. You're good. You're good. We haven't reached.
We're gonna start doing the weather now.
We haven't reached kill stream levels. We're okay. we haven't started talking in echoes or anything. Anyway, as such, to him, superheroes are the guys of film today is disingenuous to older audience because they don't allow adults to face their fears. Moore's message is a reminder to all that Superman still went to work at the Daily Bugle. Wait a minute. Can anybody read? Can anybody read the problem with that? Superman worked for the Daily Planet. The Daily Bugle was Spider-Man's newspaper. The fuck is wrong with you people?
I think we need to report these guys to Snopes.
I don't fuck that. They're leftist. I think we're going to report them to. I know. We'll report them to Sweetcast, so that Sweetcast can get their secret doxing server where they dox a comic book hut, and then they can dox a guy that thought that Superman worked at the Daily Bugle. Or did Alan Moore just do so many drugs that he thought the Daily Planet and the Daily Bugle were the same place?
I mean, possible.
Not unless it's his shitty idea of like some sort of underhanded joke at both the big two.
Well, it's terrible, and it triggered me a little bit. It makes me sad.
Agreed.
So,
well, and I want to know. Sorry, like all movies have to have some like deep philosophical, psychological impact on their viewers. If you're an adult, fuck you. I want to watch people with crazy powers punch each other every now and then.
Right.
What's the problem with that?
Well, here's the true problem.
You twat.
Here's the true problem. At least according to VG 24/7. According to them, the problem is that Ninja has a comic book now. Seriously.
Okay.
The Ninja. The streamer.
Oh,
I'm not
wait,
familiar with him.
the Fortnite streamer?
Yes.
Tyler
Tyler Blevins has a comic book now, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Now that we've heard from Alan Moore and Willem Dafoe and Mr. Medeker, all of which I thank very, very generously for contributing to the show.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, I know that it took some serious DM work to get all those guys to contribute their own little bit to the show, but I want to thank them personally. That was sarcasm. But anyway, the Ninja comic book is probably just as wild and ridiculous as you'd expect. That I don't think those are the words I'd use with my expectations of this garbage fire.
Yeah, me either.
Tyler Ninja Blevins is known for many reasons. No, he's really just known for the one.
Huh.
On the other hand, he's one of the most successful Fortnite streamers. That's the one. On the other, he drops slurs left and right and center to get famous for making an ass of himself on Twitch. I mean, it's not like he was Sargon and saying white N word this and I wouldn't that.
And his 20-year plan.
Yeah,
Then makes me try to make out that he's got African descent.
no, I think he did do that.
No, his child has African.
Well, his girlfriend's child.
Yeah, hey, his wife's boyfriend's a really stand-up guy.
Strangely, it's not surprising to learn that the streamer recently starred in his own graphic novel. That is a little strange and surprising to learn, I'm not going to lie. Blevins had his first foray into publishing earlier this year with a book on how to be a gamer, capital G intentional. No, the last person in the world I would take advice from is some dude who has never picked up anything heavier than him. Like, I think that's kind of a rule to manliness. Like, you have to prove yourself by picking up something as heavy or heavier than you. And I look at this kid and
Or,
I'm like,
at least change a tire.
what's a tire? He never leaves his house, Ayrton.
That's fair.
And was always bound to do some
it's the
sort of
round bit of a car.
and was always bound to do some sort of autobiographical fiction. The sheer absurdity of Ninja, the most dangerous game, however, is truly unprecedented. Polygon reports, oh well, there's a goddamn just stalwart in journalism right there, right?
Oh yeah, super reliable.
Reports that Blevins worked on the graphic novel alongside Justin Jordan and Felipe Magna. It's 144 pages long. It's 148.8 pages long of Ninja pretending to be some sort of superhero. Imagine Penguin Random House published it. Penguin Random House also published House of Leaves. I'm disappointed in you guys. You did some great work, and now you're just fucking up. Naturally, it's about 100-person battle royale, so it's Hunger Games. However, Heroic Ninja refuses to fight. So he's PETA in the Hunger Games. His nonviolent protest encourages people from thousands of worlds outside of the game to rebel against their oppressive overlord and fight. This is the motherfucker that yelled when the combat shotgun got banned. I just want everybody to know that. The guy that wanted to combat shotgun more people in the face is a non-violent, just a conscientious objector. Ninja then dies to save someone else and miraculously is resurrected. Of course he's a male Mary Sue because, you have to cut yourself in your own comic book. He literally wrote himself into a Jesus story about battle royales, and you thought Ninja had already done all of the most ninja things possible. No, I didn't. He hasn't had a sex change yet.
Yeah.
I wonder how future historians will view Ninja. I
hope they don't know about him.
Then he made
I hope PewDiePie overshadows all of these little bitches.
Felix needs to hurry up and make a damn comic.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. Like, there doesn't have to be a comic book about everything, especially about streamers. I mean, PewDiePie could make a comic mainly about being PewDiePie and what he does when the camera goes off. Like, I would read a 28-page comic about what PewDiePie goes over while he's deciding what phone game to play when he sits down on the toilet. But that's just because it's pewds.
That's true.
I mean,
or he could
at
do
this point,
he
Go
could
ahead.
do a full-on comic about the bread.
True.
I mean, we should release a comic about our lives when we're not streaming.
No, we shouldn't. Apparently, the comic is much better than it might seem at face value. I'm pressing X to doubt. Excuse me. Where's my chat? Excuse me, chat.
Yeah, where's the chat?
Here we go. Here's this for you guys. I'm pressing X to doubt. Capital X.
Smash them X.
But it's tough to be convinced. It might by December 3rd. You can pre-order it here if you want, or you can just watch him on Mixer, where he'll probably also pretend to be a superhero. Well, I mean, yeah, whatever happens when you're on ecstasy, I'm not going to judge you for it. But if they make a comic book about it, I will read, review, and judge the fuck out of that. But will do while humorously and unknowingly making an arse of himself. All right. So that's the news this week. I'm honestly sorry to end on that note, but it was either that or how variant covers are killing comics, and that was the least depressing of the two options.
Yeah, and
Very
we've
understandable.
covered the variant numerous times already.
Oh, but it came up again this week, so I figured, why not talk about it again?
Yeah.
But no, on that, anybody got any final words?
This comic's going to suck, and somebody's going to request us to review it.
Probably.
Fucking kill me.
Well, I for one don't foresee it breaking any records or being a massive collectible. Now maybe you get Ninja to sign it, and somehow he becomes important, and his signature is actually worth something because he doesn't sign other things. But I'm gonna guess that he's gonna be money grubbing within about 20 years easily, and he will have
less than that.
signed. No. I'm saying by the time 20 years rolls around, you'll literally be able to give him like a Tic Tac or something for his signature.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But
Yeah.
you had to say it, Eric. Dan.
Is like flossing in the streets for spare.
Oh yeah. No, you had to say it, Eric. Dan's gonna say he's gonna request it. Like,
No, he already made his request.
oh
He
no.
wants Charles Barkley versus Godzilla.
Yeah, but you don't
It's already on the
understand.
list.
You don't understand. We have to observe what level of patron he is, because he may get a trade and a comic per month.
Uh,
Uh-huh. You don't understand what you, and he could just ask for it next month.
well, why would you remind him of that?
Well, he'll at least forget my recommendation before next month requests come around, but Anyway,
That's fair.
I appreciate both of you guys coming on here. I appreciate everybody in the chat. We will see you guys again either tomorrow or Wednesday evening. So, until then, thank you again.
Good night, everybody.